Welcome to Echoes Untold, where we explore history's most perplexing mysteries, forgotten tragedies, and tales that refuse to fade. Today we embark on a journey into one of the most merciless landscapes on Earth, Death Valley. For centuries, this land has held a deadly reputation. Indigenous tribes feared its relentless heat. Early settlers saw it as an impassable wasteland, and modern explorers often underestimate its silent but lethal nature. And in 1996, it claimed 4 more souls, tourists from Germany who set off for an adventure but never returned. Their story is not just one of misfortune but of unanswered questions. How did they end up in such a remote part of the desert? Why did they continue forward when they had multiple chances to turn back? And what really happened in those final, agonizing days? This is Echoes Untold, where history whispers and we listen. The summer of 1996 was meant to be a dream vacation. Egbert Rimkus, 34, a construction engineer from Germany, had planned a trip to the United States with his girlfriend, Cornelia Conny Meyer, 27, his 11-year-old son, Georg Weber, and Conny's 4-year-old son, Max Meyer. The group arrived in California in early July, eager to experience the American West. Their itinerary included famous destinations, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and the iconic national parks. They rented a minivan, a standard vehicle for road-tripping tourists, but hardly the right choice for rugged terrain. In Las Vegas, Rimkus withdrew cash, possibly for supplies, and purchased a German-language travel guidebook. It's believed that this book, intended to provide insight into lesser-known scenic routes, inadvertently led them toward disaster. From Las Vegas, the family ventured into Death Valley. At some point, they entered a guest book at Warm Springs Mine, leaving behind their names, date, and a small but ominous clue, their last confirmed location. What happened next was a series of fateful decisions that sealed their doom. For many, Death Valley is just a scenic drive, but for the unwary, it is a trap. The family continued into Anvil Canyon, a desolate, unmarked area with no maintained roads, little shade, and no water sources. Why? One theory is that the guidebook they carried misled them into thinking they could navigate a back route safely. Another is that Rimkus, eager for adventure, decided to take an unconventional path. Regardless of the reason, the outcome was catastrophic. The deeper they went, the rougher the terrain became. The minivan's tires were not designed for sharp rocks and deep sand, and at some point, all 4 were shredded. Rimkus, perhaps desperate to push forward, drove on the rims before realizing the vehicle was hopelessly stranded. At that moment, the family was left with only one option: continue on foot. Days turned into weeks, no one raised an alarm. The rental car company wasn't expecting the vehicle to be returned until later, and there was no immediate family in the U.S. to report them missing. For months, their disappearance remained unnoticed. It wasn't until October 1996, 3 months after they vanished, that hikers discovered their abandoned minivan in a remote part of Anvil Canyon. Authorities were alerted, and an extensive search followed. Helicopters, ground teams, and tracking experts scoured the area. Yet despite their efforts, they found no sign of the missing family. Inside the vehicle, they uncovered personal belongings, sleeping bags, and camping gear. A camera with undeveloped film, German-language travel brochures, Rimkus's travel log, which eerily ended with the words, "We are going over the pass." This note suggested they had set off on foot, hoping to reach safety. But where were they? For years, speculation ran wild. Some believed they had been victims of foul play. Others theorized they had succumbed to the desert and were simply never found. It seemed as though the Death Valley Germans had vanished into thin air. It took 13 years before the first real answers emerged. In 2009, Tom Mayhood, an independent researcher, decided to re-examine the case. Using modern GPS tracking and logical deduction, he charted a route the family might have taken after abandoning the van. His persistence led him to a chilling discovery: scattered human bones in a remote area of the desert. DNA analysis confirmed that the remains belonged to Egbert Rimkus and Cornelia Meyer. But the bodies of Georg and Max were never recovered. Had the children been separated from the adults? Even with the discovery of Rimkus and Meyer's remains, the mystery of the Death Valley Germans is far from solved. The most haunting question is, what happened to Georg and Max? If Rimkus and Meyer perished in the desert, why weren't the children's remains found alongside them? Some theories include The children may have wandered in a different direction and perished elsewhere. Their bodies may have been carried away by scavengers or buried by shifting sands. A more sinister possibility: did someone find them and take them? There is no evidence to support foul play, but the absence of the children's remains keeps this theory alive. Hindsight is always 20/20ths, but experts believe they made a series of deadly miscalculations. Had they stayed with the van, they might have been rescued. While the heat inside a vehicle can be intense, it provides some protection. If they had left a clearer trail of belongings, rescuers might have found them sooner. A satellite phone or emergency beacon could have saved their lives, but in 1996, these options were not common for casual tourists. The story of the Death Valley Germans is a stark warning. Never underestimate nature. Death Valley is one of the most dangerous places on Earth. It claims lives. Have an emergency plan. For Rimkus, Meyer, and their children, a dream vacation turned into a nightmare. Their story is a heartbreaking reminder of how quickly the wilderness can claim the unprepared. More than 2 decades later, the fate of the Death Valley Germans still lingers as an unsolved puzzle. While we now know how Egbert Rimkus and Cornelia Meyer perished, the fate of the children remains a mystery that may never be solved. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this story compelling, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Echoes Untold. We bring you history's lost voices, one forgotten story at a time. Until next time, this is Echoes Untold, where history whispers and we listen. Fact-checked sources: Tom Mayhood. The Hunt for the Death Valley Germans. Research and first-hand search accounts. National Park Service reports. Official investigation findings. Los Angeles. Times Archives. Contemporary reports on the disappearance and recovery. Death Valley National Park records. Documentation on extreme conditions and missing persons cases.